There are different types of past tenses in Latin, and they can get a little bit confusing. So today, I'm just going through how you can spot them in Latin and how you translate them into English. There are 3 different past tenses in Latin: the imperfect, the perfect, and the pluperfect. And they all do different things. So it's really important that you know how to translate them all and how to spot them. If you want an easy way to learn these endings, go and download my free reference guide to Latin verbs. It's got all the endings you need, not just for the past tenses, but for all of the tenses in Latin, in both active and passive voices. Today, I'm just going to be focusing on active verbs in the past tenses, which should be a little bit more straightforward. Let's start with the imperfect tense. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you may well know this is my favourite tense, and I call it the sheep tense for complicated reasons that you can see if you watch my imperfect tense video in full. You translate it using the English words was or were, and it's formed using the present stem plus the imperfect signifier BA, and then your normal person endings that you would expect. For example, if I take the verb porto, portare, I carry, to carry, and I want to put it in the third person singular imperfect, I take the present stem, I add BA, and then I add my ending, and I get portabat. This translates as he was carrying. This is what's called a continuous action in the past, which means that the action is ongoing at the time of the story. So for example, he was carrying the cup when he fell over. Portabat shows that it is an ongoing action before the fall. You can also translate the imperfect tense using the word used to. So he used to carry the cup to his friend every day, for example. But it's more common to use was or were. That's why we call it the continuous action in the past. Here are the endings for the imperfect tense. Bambasbat, Bambasbat. The eagle-eyed will have noticed that the first 3 make up the name of my channel and my website, and that is because it is my favourite tense in Latin, because I do have a favourite tense in Latin. So Bambasbat, Bambasbat, all of those have the BA imperfect signifier. Let's look at some verbs that are using this ending. Portabam, I was carrying. Sedebas, you were sitting. Audiebat, he or she was listening. Trahebamus, we were dragging. Ferebatis, you plural, were bringing. And mitebant, they were sending. So all of these use the BA. That's a really obvious signifier for the imperfect tense. If you try and keep in mind that the imperfect sheep was saying ba, that can help you to remember that it is imperfect. You use BA and you translate it using was or were. The perfect tense is a bit different. It's no longer a continuous action in the past, it's different. You translate it in English using ED. For example, walked or laughed or killed. Unfortunately, English doesn't follow its own rules and not all past tense verbs use ED at the end. For example, ran is the past tense of run, it's not runned. And saw is the past tense of see rather than seed. But you have to have in mind ED, and that can help you to get the right feeling of the verb. You form it from the perfect stem plus the perfect ending. These are different endings from the normal person endings you're expecting. Now, the perfect stem is the 3rd principal part in your dictionary. You're always given the present, porto, I carry, the infinitive, portare, to carry, and then the perfect, portavi, I carried. So the perfect stem is that portav, P-O-R-T-A-V, plus the perfect ending, which are different, and I'll show you them in a second. So portavit means he carried. This is a completed action in the past. So different from the imperfect, which was a continuous action, this one is done. It's over. I fell over. I walked to the shop. I saw my friend. It's done. It's not still ongoing. Here are the endings of the perfect tense. I isti it, imus istis erunt. These are different from the normal person endings that you expect, but they do follow similar patterns. For example, the he, she, it ending still ends with a T, the we ending still ends with mus, and the they ending, erunt, still ends with an NT. They're really important to learn, so make sure you do get those down. Here are the same verbs as I had before in the imperfect, switched now to the perfect. You might see that there is a difference in some of them in the stem. That's because before, the imperfect uses the normal present stem, but these are perfect, so I have to use the perfect stem. Portavi means I carried. Portav is my stem. Sedisti, you sat. Sedere goes to sedi in the perfect. Audivit is he or she heard or listened to. Traximus is we dragged. Tulisti is very different. This is why you must know your perfect stems. This one is from ferro, bring, carry, bear. Ferro, ferre, tuli. So tulisti means you plural brought. Miserunt comes from mitto. Mitto, mittere, missi. So this one, miserunt, is they sent. This is still using those perfect endings, which are now highlighted in blue, and the black is the perfect stem. Some of them are really different, so it is really important that you learn those principal parts. The last one we're going to look at today is the pluperfect tense. You translate this in English using had done something. So had walked, had seen. Again, the ed is just to remind you that it has to be in the past. It's not always going to use ed, like for example, seen that I just said. But the had is the really important word to make sure you get into your translation. The pluperfect tense is formed using the perfect stem again, but this time it's with the pluperfect endings. So the pluperfect endings are different. Let's take porto again. Porto, I carry. This one, we need the perfect stem. We saw before that was portav. Then I want my pluperfect ending, which is erat. He had carried. This tense is called a more than past tense. That's what pluperfect literally means, plus perfect, more than past. So it's even further back in time than the perfect tense. Here are the endings of the pluperfect. Now again, remember, you have to translate it using that had. Aram, aras, arat, aramis, aratis, arant. Those of you who have looked at the verb to be might recognize this. This is the imperfect tense of the verb to be. So aram on its own, if it's just on its own in a sentence, it means I was something. I was happy. I was a teacher. I was late. Okay? But when it's an ending added to a perfect stem, it forms the pluperfect tense and you have to translate it as had. Here are those same verbs again, this time in the pluperfect. Portaveram, I had carried. So I've got the same perfect stem, portav, and then eram added to it. Sederes, you had sat. Audiverat, he or she had heard. Traxeramus, we had dragged. Tuleratis, again, very weird stem. Tuli from ferro. Tuleratis means you plural had brought. And miserant, they had sent. So you can see again, you have aramarasarat, aramisaratisarant. Those endings are what help you to spot that this is a pluperfect tense. In case you're struggling to figure out the perfect stem is indeed perfect, this is what you want to use. Here are all the verbs that we've just looked at today in all three of the tenses. So remember that the BA shows you the imperfect, the isti it endings show you that it is a perfect, and the aramarasarat endings show you it is a pluperfect. Now, let's test what you've learnt. Which tense are these verbs? If you want to have a go at translating these on your own, pause the video here. Otherwise, I'm going to show you the answers now. Speravit has the IT. Putebam has the BA. Keperamus has the aramarasarat endings. Inkendebant has the BA. And vulneravi has the isti it endings. That means this is how they translate. Speravit, he hoped it is perfect. Putebam, I was thinking imperfect. Keperamus, we had seized pluperfect. Inkendebant, they were burning imperfect. And vulneravi, I wounded perfect. How did you do? Let me know in the comments whether you managed to figure out which tense all of these were. If you want to go into any of these tenses in a bit more depth, I'll link to my previous videos in the description underneath. Don't forget to download my free reference guide to Latin verbs from the link in the description below. It will really help you out for all of these verb endings. Now, these have been active in voice, but if you want to have a look at the passive, they're in that guide as well. So do download it. It will help you as you carry on your Latin journey. I hope this has been useful to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bambasbat.